I'd like to say first that sometimes you just have to find a way to win, and I think that's what we had to do today. Seattle came into the game more prepared to play than we did. I didn't feel great about our mojo today. I thought our preparation was average, maybe a little. It was average, and so we have to have a better and more mature approach coming into the game, because it was a game that we felt like we should win. But even when you feel like you should win, you've got to play to a certain level. And I thought that their kids and their team was really better out of the gate than ours was. And so we played from behind, and obviously we're severely disjointed with the lineups that we're playing. We just had to manufacture and find a way to win, which fortunately we did.
Start off with a question from Jeff.
Yeah, good afternoon, Coach. It seems like you're getting nice contributions more often now from Joel Brown. He obviously hit a couple of big shots late, but also seems like, again, he took on some big defensive assignments for you guys. Can you talk about the way he's evolving?
Well, Joel's an improved player from a year ago. He's a much improved shooter. He didn't get the thousands of makes that we wanted him to get in the offseason, but he still has improved. And he just needs to develop the confidence in games that he shows in practice. And I think making those today will help that. He's been a very good defender for us. And in all honesty, I mean, he's playing like three different positions, and if we just try and glue this thing together without Matt and Grant, and Joel's super bright, and his ability to understand the different positions and play them and change gears. It probably affects his efficiency at times, but it certainly has been very valuable for us.
And if I could follow up, it looked like Matt on the sidelines was campaigning to get into the game. I saw him going from coach to coach at different times in the first half. Were you tempted, or was he just not ready? And did you figure 9 more days off would be a good thing for him? Well,
yeah, I was tempted for sure. But Matt's well-being, he wasn't able to practice yesterday. And I had confidence that we could win the game without him. And, he hasn't been able to practice for 4 or 5 days, and I wasn't going to put him in that situation. But he was campaigning, and, maybe he can run for office one day and campaign again. But long-term, this is a chance for him to get healthy. And so, we kept him on the side, and I think he should be back and ready to go when we return.
Question from Jim McGill.
Hey, Coach, shooting a little rough and rebounding and scoring in the paint for Seattle is pretty rough in the first half. What'd you do to get the guys refocused in the second? They really seemed to turn it around in both areas.
You said our shooting was rough?
In the first half. How did you get them turned around in the second half?
Oh, you know what? In defense of our players, I mean, when we have some lineups that just haven't played or practiced together, because we've introduced Jared into the mix. We have Grant on the side and Matt on the side, and so we just haven't practiced a lot with some of these lineups, and so we're just a little bit disjointed offensively because of that. But we didn't have a great rhythm, and it took us a while to find some things that worked for us. Obviously the 3-point line was better to us in the second half than the first. But I think it all started with our ability to get a few stops. And when your defense is giving you a chance, it helps you relax offensively.
And Kwani had a really nice game today, efficient, and hit the big 3 too. Can you talk a little bit about his growth?
I thought Kwani was terrific until he turned his ankle. I thought he was terrific. And in the first half, he made plays off the bounce. Obviously, he made the shot you just mentioned, and he continues to develop as a player, and it was really good to see him have a game where he certainly impacted winning.
Question from Ben Parker.
Yeah, Coach, could you just talk about the adjustment you made at halftime to get your team back in the game?
Well, I didn't think we were out of the game. I didn't think we played very well. We're down 4 points, so we did some more switching in the second half. We started a smaller lineup to start the half because we felt like that they were quicker than us in the first half, and so we went a little smaller to start the half, and and it gave us a little bit of a chance. But then we obviously played with Lars and Andre played big once we got back into the gut of the game.
Question from Steve.
Yeah, Mark, two questions. One, what do you have planned for the team between now and the 31st? And if someone had told you Saturday morning that you'd be without Grant and Matt for these two games and you'd win them, forget what the score was or what it looked like, I would imagine you would have taken that, correct?
Well, if someone told me we were going to win the two games, I mean, you'd probably walk across hot coals to make sure that you got them. I mean,
Right.
Victory is what we spend all these efforts, trying to attain. So, it's been a challenge, without Grant because it happened out of nowhere. And then Matt's rehab just hasn't gone as well as we'd hoped. He's really close, but he couldn't practice yesterday without some pain. So we held him and he desperately tried to get in the game today, but I thought the right thing to do was to sit him and thought we could win the game without him. But now becomes a really, really difficult time for these kids. And these young guys have, the daily life of a player right now is no fun. We don't have a locker room. We don't have a place where they can gather. We eat every meal out of a box. They don't eat meals together. They're separated all the time except for the little bit we get to practice. They dress on the side or they're sitting on the ground. They got to get up in the morning, like this morning, and stick a thing down your nose at 8:45 and then sit around and wait for the results before you can even have shoot around. I mean, it's a very isolated and difficult existence, and it's no fun for them. Okay. The fun is the fact that we still get to play the game that we love and represent the school that we care deeply about. But the sacrifices they make to do that are immense. The next 3 days, they're not allowed to go home. Okay. And that's a massive sacrifice. Now, obviously some of the international kids wouldn't have gone home, but even the kids that are local aren't going to be allowed to go home because of the protocols that are in place and the sequester that's required and the testing that's required at the end of the sequester. And you can't practice till you get through all that. So the next 3 days are going to be hard because we can't practice. By rule, we can't practice. And so we're going to give them off tomorrow and give them a really nice meal. We're going to open the gym for them if they choose to come on the 24th, and if they want to get some shots up. As coaches, we can't be in here. And then on the 25th, we'll get them another really nice meal. We had some Christmas cookies delivered to them the other day, and hopefully they'll have a chance to FaceTime their families and share with them in that way. But the next 3 days will be hard because they need a break. They need to be with family, and they can't be. And so we'll give them a break. We'll return to practice on the 26th, and then prepare to take the trip to play the Oregon schools.
We'll end it with one question from Jeff.
Yeah, Mark, as you alluded, your next game is the 31st against Oregon. What areas are you pleased with your progress, and in what ways do you think you still need to kind of mesh things together? You got a lot of people playing different roles right now, and you don't have your best player. And where are you at in terms of all that, and how prepared do you think you'll be by the 31st?
Well, obviously the loss of Matt and Grant we've had two massive disruptions to the development of our team. We had the shutdown that cost us, 8 or 9 practices there in November. And then we had these two guys go down. And so the progress and development of our team and our rotation has been disjointed. We're going to get Matt back before we get Grant back. So we'll be able to plan for that. I'm not sure when Grant will be back. So, I think our team continues to make progress. Our turnover numbers have been better. And I think the early turnovers were probably a result of the lack of practice, but that seems to be an area where we've improved. Our defense needs to become more consistent. And so we'll work to continue to do that. And then offensively, finding a rotation with the players that we do have until we get Grant back will be probably the next challenge.
And is there any chance Grant will be available by that first road trip, or do you think it's a couple more weeks beyond that?
No, there's no chance. I mean, we're lucky to have him with us. No, he won't play on the Oregon trip.